Today we're going to cover section 11.2, box and whisker plots. Now, if it looks familiar, it's because you have seen it back in 7th grade. And our essential question is, how can you represent and analyze data using box and whisker plots? So we're going to cover it in we cover it in 7th grade. We cover it in Algebra 1. We're going to go a little more depth on box and whisker plots that you did before. And then you're going to cover this once again in Algebra 2. And you can actually take an entire class on statistics, and that can be your senior year. So take the time to copy down your title, write down your essential question, and you can glue your cutout, or you can just copy it nice and neat and just box it in. Once you're ready, you can go and click play. So go and pause it, and we'll continue once you're ready. Excellent. So in this case, a box and whisker plot shows the variability. So how does the data vary of a data set along a number line? We're going to be using the least value, the greatest value, and what we call quartiles of the data. Quartiles of the data divide the data set into 4 equal parts. So that is something that you want to be able to keep in mind, that your data is going to be divided in 4 equal parts. And if you have different highlighters, it will be even better. If you just have 2, or even if you just have 1, it's fine. So we have 4 equal parts. So first, the least value is here on the lower side. That'll be your minimum value. Your greatest value, it's over here. And then we have what we call our first quartile, or second quartile, and our third quartile. Q1, Q2, and Q3. Q1 is your first quartile. Notice that Q2 is your median, and your third quartile, we say that's Q3. Your median will be the one in the middle. Then from your first quartile to your third quartile, we're going to make a box, and the whiskers will go to the greatest value and to the minimum value, or to the least value. Now, one of the things that we're going to be doing on the back is that it does divide it in 4 equal parts. So this is my first section. This is my second section. This is my third section. And this is our fourth section. And this is key in a box and whisker plot. Knowing that there are 4 equal parts, even though this one seems to be larger, once we go through example number 1, you'll see that they actually have the same amount of data points. But let's go start with number 1. I think one way to understand it is just to go to build the first one. So go and copy it down, and then we can start once you are ready. Go and pause it. Excellent. So in this case, make a box and whisker plot that represents the ages of the members of a backpacking expedition in the mountains. So let's see how many. I usually start by counting. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 members. Now, one of the things that we need to find, we need to be able to find the median. Do you guys remember how to find the median? Correct. In order to find the median, we need to find the middle number, but they must be in order. So let's go and write them down right below. Let's see, which is the smallest number? The smallest number will be 18. And just careful, because sometimes I write them down and then I forget one of them. Let me circle them. 18. Then after that we have a 22. We have 2 22s. So 1, 2, and that way I make sure that I don't leave any of them behind. 22, another 22. Then we have a 24. Then we have a 25, 1 25, 2 25s, 3 25s. We have a 27. We have a 28. And we have 3 30s. 1, 2, 3. I should have, let's see, 1, 2, and 3. And I don't think I left anything behind, did I? Sometimes you guys will see my mistakes before I do. So let's see. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And on the left hand side, what we need to find, we need to be able to find our Q1 or Q2 or Q3. We're going to find the least value, which we're going to call the minimum. We're going to find the greatest value, which we're going to call the maximum. So those are the five key things that you need. Let's say minimum is easy to find, that's 18. So once you have it in order, that's much easier to find. Maximum is 30. So the next one that we need to find is Q2. Q2 is your median, and we know how to find the median by the last section. It's going to be your middle number. And I'm just going to underline. Let's see, we have one from each side. Sometimes I do 2 by 2. There you go. So now we can see that there are two numbers in the middle. Do you guys remember what to do with those two numbers? Correct. You add them and then divide it by 2. Now there's 25 and 25 is 50, divided by 22 is 25. So therefore, your Q2 is your median, which is 25. Now, because there are two of them, we're actually going to keep each one on each side. This 25 will be to this side, and to find one, we're going to find the median of the numbers on the left. So I'm going to take one from each side. This time I'm going to circle them. Again, we have two numbers in the middle. So what should we do? We can add them and divide it by 2 to find the average. Or what we can do, we can just say, you know, what's the middle number, which will be between 22 and 24 will be 23. But that's not always possible. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to use my decimal calculator. If you don't have a calculator at home, you can use a scientific calculator or a graphing calculator. I'm just going to add the numbers, 22 plus 24 gives me 46. And then I'm going to take my answer, I'm going to divide it by, I'm going to take my answer and I'm going to divide it by 2. Now remember, they can do this all at once. If you want, you can actually just place your fraction bar. And you can place 22 plus 24, and then we can divide by 2. Notice that with decimals, it's very easy to be able to see that that was your answer from your previous lesson, from your previous result. So your decimal calculator they have done a really good job, and it's free. So that'll be 23. So therefore, your Q1 is 23. And I'll place my little t, so I know that's the middle. So this is your Q1. This is your Q2. And now I'm going to find the middle on the right hand side. I'm going to circle one from each side. 1 and 1, 1 and 1. I have two numbers in the middle. So therefore I'm going to go through the same process. I'm going to use my decimal calculator. I'm going to place my fraction, but I'm going to do everything all at once. 28 plus 30 divided by 2, because there are two numbers. You're basically just taking the average or the mean of both numbers. Now, notice that the number between 28 and 30 is 29, correct? So therefore, 29 is your Q3. And now we can use those 5 numbers to create our box and whisker plot. Now we can use your ID. So if you want, you can use an ID to make your box and whisker plot. Or if you have a ruler, you can also use a small ruler or a larger ruler. In this case, I'm just going to use my ruler. But your ID works well as well. So therefore, I'm going to place my line. And I need to make sure that they all fit. So I can decide whether I can go every 5, so 5, 10, 15, 20. But I think in this case, they all fit if I go by 1. But if the numbers get too large, you can go by 5 or by 2 if you want. 18, 20, 22. In this case, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And that's it. So actually we're gonna make it small on the left hand side, which is fine. So therefore our minimum is 18. I'll place a floating dot above. That's your minimum. Your maximum is 30. Now we have 23, 21, 22, 23. We have 25, and we have 29. Even though they don't connect the line all the way through, I actually prefer to do so. It makes it a lot easier for me when I do that. And I'm just going to make my box. I'm going to use those three dots in the middle to make my box. And you can use your ID as well. And now, let's go and label. This is your minimum. This is your maximum. This is Q1. This is Q2. So I'm going to make an extra line for Q2. Even though it's not, well, they do have the extra line. So Q2 and Q3. Something that I do write down is that for Q2, that's my median, just to be able to remember. And I can say this is 31, 32, 33, 35, 4, 35. Now, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that this is dividing all the numbers in 4 equal sections. So notice that this has this section. That is the numbers 22 through 18 through 22. And if you actually place the numbers 18 and 222s in there, there are 3 numbers in here. The next section looks a little smaller, but this one also contains 3 numbers. On the next one, it looks a little bigger than the second one, but smaller than the first one. But this one also has 3 numbers. And on the last one, it looks the smallest of them all, but that one also contains all 3 numbers. Whether the numbers at the very end, it doesn't matter. We know that there are 3 numbers here, 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here, to have a total of 12 numbers. Now, many times it's going to ask you to describe the distribution of the data. You're going to be able to look at the box. I want you guys to tell me where the box is located. Is the box located on the left or on the right? Also, there's going to be times that we're going to place 2 box and whisker plots on top of each other, so that way we can compare them. Below 2 data sets easier to compare using box and whisker plots. Right now, what we're going to say is the distribution of the data is the box on the left, or on the right, or in the center. The box is on the right. So we're going to say the distribution of the data is to the right. Is it data or data? Let's say data. On the next lesson, we are going to write down a few more things, and we're going to be going to skew to the left or to the right. But at that point, we'll use a different representation for the data. And that's it. Now, remember that you guys have done this before, so that's why it looks so familiar. Let's go through example number 2. Go and copy it down, and then we can start once you are ready. Go and pause it. The box is on the left. I should place it a little higher. Go and pause it, copy it down, and then we can start once you are ready. Excellent. So a reality cooking show selects 24 contestants. The ages of the contestants are shown in the table on the left. Make a box and whisker plot. Now, if you guys remember on the last lesson, we use the same data, but now we use what we call a dot plot. A dot plot is very useful as well in statistics to be able to represent the data. So now we have 2 different type of representations. We'll come back and compare them both. So for now, let's do a box and whisker plus. But what is the first thing I need to do? Yeah, I need to place them in order. So I'm going to use this space here, and we have 24, so I should have space if I write small enough to place them in order. Let's see, smallest one is 19. Then the next one is another 19. I have another 19, no, I have a 20. And notice I circle them so I don't leave any of them behind. And then I want to make sure that I have 24. Then we have another 20. We have 21 on another 20. Then we have 21. Another 21. We have 22. Two 22s. We have a 24. Another 22. We have a 24. We have a 25. Two 25s. We have a 27. 1, 2, 3, 4 27s. We have a 29, two of them. We have a 30. We have a 31. We have a 32. We have a 40. Darn it, I missed a 25. So do we have three 25s? Yeah, we do. 1, 2, 3. So that's what's good to be able to write them down. Let's squeeze a 25 in there. So let's go and find the middle. We need to be able to find Q1, and let me write down on the right hand side. I'll write down, we'll write down right below. So we need to find Q1, Q2. First, your minimum. I must go and circle it, or this place. This is my minimum. This is my maximum. Most of the time, I prefer to place on the left because it makes it a little easier for me to see it, but I don't have space in here. Now I'm gonna find the median. So I'm gonna circle, underline. Let's underline first. So I'm gonna underline 2 at a time. 2 and 2, 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 1 and 1, and we have two 25s. So that means that 25 plus 25 again is 50 divided by 2 gives me 25. So yeah, this happens to be the same number. This will be Q3, which is your median. Now let's go over on the left. Remember that you're going to keep this number to the part of the left. So I'm going to circle 1 on each side. We have two numbers in the middle, so I'm going to add them up. 21 plus 21 divided by 2 gives me 21, correct. And this will be Q1. Therefore, this is not Q1, this is Q2. Do you guys agree? So I'll do 1 on each side. 1 and 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 1. Now I have two numbers. I can do two things. I can add them and divide by 2, or I can have the halfway mark, which is 28. And this will be Q3. This is Q3. We have your 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where Q2 is your median, your minimum, your maximum, Q1 and Q3. And now we can place our number line. Now it's from 19 to 40. Let me see if I fits. I believe with 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30. So it does fit. So you can use your ID, or you can use a ruler, or anything that you. But what do want you guys to use a straight edge. So this will be, I'm going to make this 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So I usually do place every 5, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to place all the numbers in between. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. So therefore I'm going to place my floating dots. I'll place my minimum is 19, 21, 25, 28, and 40 is the next one. I'll connect them with a straight line. And I'm going to make my box. I'm going to use my 3 dots in the middle, my Q1, Q2, and Q3 to make my box. And one of the things that we need to remember, well, let's go to label it. This is my minimum. This is my maximum. This is my Q1, Q2, Q3. And let me just place my extra line on my Q2, which happens to be my median. So something to remember is the distribution is in 4 sections. So even though this seems to be the smallest one, this one has 2, 4, 6 numbers. On the next one, it seems to be a little bigger. It also has 2, 4, 6 numbers. Oh, sorry. And then the next one is the second smallest one. Also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers, including this 25. And the last one, even though it seems that it's the one that should have the most number of points, also has 6. So that takes us to the definition that the quartiles divide the data into 4 equal parts. So therefore we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. And even though this one seems to be much longer, which it is, but it seems to have the most number of points. No, it still has 6 contestants. Question? Excellent. So let's answer the last one. Describe the distribution of the data. So we're going to set the distribution. We're going to look at this little box. The distribution on the data is to the right or to the left? To the left. We're going to say the distribution of the data is on the left. Once we have 2 of them stacked up, we can say that one of them is a little closer to, the data sets are closer to each other. Now, one of the things that you want to see is that, notice that I have the same graph that we did, but on the previous lesson, we did a dot plot. And I think I kept them to the same, it'll be 19 up right here. So notice that in this case, we talked about the outlier last time. So we have the same data set placed in 2 different diagrams. One as a box and whisker plot, one as a dot plot, and sometimes one of them is better to analyze than others depending on the situation. Like I said, you'll be taking a full class of statistics once you're a senior, and you'll see this again in Algebra 2. Now this is a little more text, so go and copy it down, pause it, and then we can start once you're ready. So we get into the easier part of the lesson. The following box plot represents the score of 200 students on the last semester's English final exam. So let's look at, let's say we have 200 kids. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. One of the things that you also want to remember is that your data set is broken down in 4 equal parts. So let's go and highlight them. We have the first section. We have your second section. we have your third section, and we have the fourth section. Each of one of them will have the same amount of students. So therefore, how many students will be in each section? So if there are 200 students and there are 4 sections, how many students are in the first section? Correct, 50. So how do you guys come up with 50? So to come up with 50, we're just going to take 200, we're going to divide it by 4. So you're going to take 200, and let's write it down, divided by 4 gives you 50. So therefore, there are 50 students in the first section, and we're going to write that down. 50 students, 50 in the next section, 50 in the next one, and 50 on the next, not 20, but 50. One of the other things I need to remember is that there are 100% of the students in here. So that means that there are 25% in each section. There's 1/4 of the students, or we can say 25%. There are 25%, 25%, and 25%. So that is something that's also key. And you want to make sure that you do that every single time that you answer a box and whisker plots. And now we can actually answer all the questions. What is the highest score? The highest score is 95. So there was one student that got 95, maybe more. Doesn't mean that there's only one. Remember, as we saw in the last section, even though there was only one dot for 30, there were 3 students that had that age. There are students there, explorers. So that doesn't mean that there's only one student that scored 95. The high score is 95, but there might be all 50 kids might have scored 95. Possible. What is the lowest score? Lowest score will be 30. Approximately, what will be the median score of the students? Now, what is the median? Is it Q1, Q2, or Q3? Correct, Q2. This is your median, which is 70. Approximately, how many students score below 70? So now that we have it below 70, we have that section here. So how many students score below 40? We have 50 and 50, 100 students. Approximately, how many students score above 70? Above 70 is on this section. So we have 50 and 50 will be 100 students. Approximately, how many students score between 30 and 90? Between 30 and 90, we have 50, 50, and 50, 150. What is the lowest score to be considered the top 25%? So top 25% is up here. So what is the lowest score? Will be 90. So once you have everything labeled, make sure that you divide it by 4. So now we have 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, and 50. Then it's also nice to be able to highlight each of the sections in different colors. So just to be able to remember that there are 4 equal parts. But the essential part is to be able to write down 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. Because many times they're going to ask you questions such as letter G. And once you have it labeled, it's much easier to answer the question. So now try example number 4 by yourselves. That is the last example for today. Go and copy it down, and then we can start once you're ready. Excellent. So pause if you need more time. The following box plot represents the score of 300 students on the last semester's math final exam. So once again, what we're going to do, remember that there are 300 students. So there are 300 students, and we have 4 sections. Here's the first section, And each section has the same amount of students. And then we have the last one. So how many students are in each section? Correct. You're going to take 300 and then you're going to divide by 4. And what is 300 divided by 4? One way to find out. Half of 300 is 150. Half of 150 is? Correct, 75. Or we can do 300. You can use a calculator for this lesson. And that gives me 75. Which means that there are 75 students here. There are 75 here, 75 here, 75 here. Also, there are 100% of the students are between 25 and 100. That means that there are 25% of the students here, and this is essential that you write them down. 25%, there are 25% and 25%. And now once you have everything labeled, then the rest of it is pretty easy. Go and answer the questions if you haven't done so, pause it, and then we can compare. So what is the highest score? Correct, it's 100. What is the lowest score? It's 25. Approximately, what will be the median score of the students? The median score will be 75. And let's go and label it. So this is your median. Approximately, how many students score below 55? Below 55, we have 75 students. Approximately, how many students score above 90? Above 90, 75 students. Approximately, how many students score between 55 and 90? 55 is over here, and 90 is over here. So you have 75 and 75 will be 150. What is the highest score to be considered the lowest 25%? Well, the lowest 25% is on this side. And what is the highest score? The highest score for the lowest 25% is 55. So notice that it's much easier to answer the questions once you have it labeled. So email me if you have any questions. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.